Hey everybody, welcome back to the Throwing Partners podcast. It's Kirby and Joseph here. I'm giving you our weekly MLB update along with our Braves and Astros updates because that's our favorite teams. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And also remember to follow us on our socials at KirbyV4 and at JAguilar7891.
Drive into left. At the wall. It's gone. Tie game.
Joe, it hasn't really been a fun week for my team. So I'm going to let you start and you can give your team's update because at least there was a little bit of positive. Mine wasn't a whole lot. So go ahead.
Yeah, so the Astros, they played okay this week. They won the series against the Cardinals. They won both series they played, at the very least, although both series they did not close out on a very good note. So I'm going to start off with Monday's game, which was the first game of the series against the Cardinals, where they won 7-4. And I believe this was a Hunter Brown. No, this was Justin Verlander start. Okay, so he gives up 2 in the first. He gave up 2 solo home runs in the first inning, and he kind of had to grind through this start. And I think he would end up giving up 3 runs, 7 hits, 2 walks, and 4 strikeouts, and 3 home runs. He gave up 3 solo shots, which, I mean, that's usually, the Verlander special right there. So he's been kind of struggling as of late. The start against the Angels today was not great either. He's been grinding. I think that right now he's currently trying to figure out a way to reinvent himself because he's just not getting the swing and miss on his fastball anymore. And so I think that, he's going to have to start learning how to, pitch more to contact or figure out a way to miss more barrels because that's just not who he is anymore. He's not blown it by anybody this season's. We were able to get the win, though. The offense picked up. Jose Altuve had an RBI. Torres had 2 RBIs. Believe that was his 2 home run game. Let's see. No, that game, Bregman and Diaz homered. That would start a string of 4 straight games where Yainer Diaz homered after people were calling for him to be benched in that game, actually, on Twitter. It was kind of funny because after he homered late, everybody's like, well, I feel stupid now. And they should, because Yainer Diaz hit very well last season for a reason. And I still believe that Dusty Baker was a fool for playing one of the worst hitters in MLB over him consistently. So that was Monday. Let's move on to Tuesday. Tuesday was a Spencer Arrighetti start. And unfortunately, he only went 3 innings, although he did pitch well in the 3 innings that he was able to pitch. He did take I believe it was 108 mile per hour line drive off his leg in the 3rd inning. He was able to finish that inning, and then he unfortunately came out of the game. He had 4 strikeouts, 3 walks. Command was a little bit of an issue. But other than that, I mean, I think he pitched well. It's unfortunate that he got hit in the leg. I believe that he will make his next start. But, he's been continuing to improve. Him and Hunter Brown have both improved very well as the season has gone along. Hunter Brown adding that 2-seamer / splitter to his arsenal, and then Arrighetti, I guess, just getting more confident by throwing more strikes in the zone. So it's been really good to see, them continue to improve. They are consistently lowering their ERA now, which is always a good sign. Their ERA has not been going up since they're in their last 6 starts, I believe. So, it's very encouraging it was very encouraging to see him go out there and pitch well for 3 innings. Kind of discouraging seeing him get hit in the leg with a, line drive and having to come out subsequently. But other than that, the bullpen, they gave up 4 runs covering the last 6 innings, but that was enough to, they were able to hold it down for the win. The Astros scored 8 runs. They beat the Cardinals 8-5. Yainer Diaz again homered, and then Caratini, Alvarez, Myers, Pena all had RBIs. And then moving on to the series finale. This game was fast as hell. This game was started and ended in, I think, like 2 hours flat. But now Blanco took the ball for the Astros, and he, let's see, he pitched 5 2/3. He pitched really well. He gave up 4 runs. No, he didn't pitch great. I'm sorry, this was the wrong game. He didn't pitch great. He didn't have the swing and miss that he's had, and he walked 2. He gave up 4 earned runs, and the Astros lost 4-2. The offense did absolutely nothing this game. They only got 5 hits, and they didn't really have any runners in scoring position throughout the whole game. They got shut down by Miles Michaelis, so that was unfortunate. And they take the L in the series finale against the Cardinals. And then moving on to Friday's game, they had finally had an off day after playing 29 games in 30 days. Moving on to Friday's game, Framber Valdez dazzled in his start against the Angels in Anaheim. He threw a complete game, 1 run, complete game. He only gave up 1 in the 2nd inning, and the offense. Once again, the offense has been playing very well as of late. Bregman, Alvarez, and Diaz have been hot, and they just continue to carry the team. Alvarez, Gordon had a double, and then Jose Abreu had a home run, and so did Yiner in this game. And like I said, Framber pitched well. He had 8 Ks, 1 walk, 1 earned run, and he gave up 4 hits across 9. And then the Saturday game, Hunter Brown pitched 6 innings, 2 hits, 0 runs, 4 walks, and 7 Ks, which is, always good to see. He's been getting a lot more swing and miss and, catching guys looking. So he's been pitching really well. And then the bullpen came in and they gave up 1 run. That was Montero. Nothing too crazy. The bullpen was able to piece the win together after Hunter Brown exited after the 6th. And Alvarez hit a home run. And McCormick has kind of started to heat up in the last 2 games. He's been hitting pretty well over the last 2 games, like I said, which is good to see because he's been awful this entire season. He kind of made Dusty Baker look like a genius, but, obviously you want him to not make Dusty Baker look like a genius because he hit very well last year. And then you have today. Today, again, the offense played very well. The offense had been sluggish all season leading up to, I guess, like the Colorado Rockies series. And they've had their moments where they've kind of regressed back to, not looking so good. But they put up 7 runs today. And that should win you a baseball game. Verlander, like I said, he grinded through this game. He pitched 5 innings, gave up 7 hits, 4 runs, only had 3 strikeouts. He had no walks, but, the lack of strikeouts is really glaring to me. Seth Martinez came in, gave up a run. Montero had a clean 1/3 of an inning coming in to relieve Martinez after giving that run up. Brian Abreu had 1 walk and 1 K. Ryan Presley. So here's the thing with Ryan Presley. I actually had a tweet up from earlier, but I will circle back to that in a little bit. But Ryan Presley has been awful. I feel like every time he comes into a game, he's with like a 2-run or 1-run lead, he's coming in and blowing it, and he's also giving up a leadoff double almost every time. I swear. I see him come in a game. The first batter hits a leadoff double, and then the opposing team scores within like 2 minutes. So that it's been really concerning to watch Ryan Presley. He did pitch yesterday, so a lot of people are kind of questioning Joe Espada's handling of the bullpen and him specifically. But yesterday they were winning 6-1, or they won the game 6-1. But because he's been struggling, I believe that Espada was probably trying to get him in the game to have him build confidence. And then they obviously needed him today because, Verlander gave up 4, Seth gave up 1, so that's 5 runs. And we had, I believe, we only had a 2-run lead going into the late innings, and we needed, the high leverage guys to come out. And, we needed them to pitch well. Him and Hader did not pitch well. But so the stats that Ryan Presley has been putting up when appearing in games tied up, up 1 or up 2 this season, Ryan Presley has let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 blown saves, 1, 2, 3 losses, and 1, 2, 3, 3 holds. He's been bad. He's been bad in those situations. He's got, more blown saves and losses than, holds, and that's not something you can really have from, a guy that you're paying a lot of money to come in and shut the game down. I don't know what they're going to do moving forward with him. I think that they really do need to address, the high leverage situation because, in my opinion, Brian Abreu hasn't looked very good either. He's been crazy inconsistent. I know that he has also been up there in usage, just because the Astros have played in a lot of high leverage games. With them playing in a lot of one-run games where they need their relievers to hold the game, so that the offense has a chance to potentially come back, or they need the high leverage guys to hold the game to win, and that's just not been happening. Him, Presley, and Hader have not panned out the way that they obviously hoped, and it's very obvious that that is probably one of their biggest concerns outside of starting pitching. Now that the offense is starting to play really well, there's not really too much you can complain from there, but they are starting to need to sweep bad teams. They needed to sweep the Cardinals, and they needed to sweep the Angels. They are not in a position where winning series will get them anywhere. They need to sweep teams. So it's very disappointing that they weren't able to sweep the Cardinals or the Angels, and, Ryan Presley has continued to struggle. Josh Hader came into the ninth in a tied game, and he gave up a 2-run home run, and the game ended on a very weird note. It was a ball hit to left field, and in Angel Stadium, they have a very short left field wall in the corner. Trey Cabbage had a good beat on it, went up, had the ball in his glove, but when his arm came down, the ball popped out, leading to the Angels' 2-run home run, and thus winning them the game on a walk-off 2-run home run. And he's not been great as well. It's kind of scary to see that, the Astros high leverage relievers have a 4.8 ERA and a 4.4 ERA. I mean, a 5.4 ERA. And then Brian Abreu's ERA is a little bit deceiving because he's been, I guess, as some would say, effectively wild. Because he has his fair share of problems as well. He's been wildly inconsistent, and I say wild because he has not been throwing very many strikes, but the strikes that he has been throwing have been getting him out of jams he's put himself into. So I'm really concerned that he's going to regress as well. His numbers early on in the season did not look good. He kind of found it for a little bit, but it just has not been good as of late. It hasn't looked good, but he's gotten results. And I'm kind of afraid that, the luck is going to catch up to him, and he's not going to get, those results pitching the way that he has been. So that's basically a wrap on the Astros week. They go down and, or they actually go up to the Bay Area and play San Francisco, starting a 3-game series, I believe, against the Giants. And, the Giants aren't great. Neither are the Astros, so they really just need to go up there and take care of business.
And it's been a rough week in Braves country too, Joe. Let me tell you. So this week started out. They had an off day Monday, and then Tuesday they played a quick 2-game set in Boston, followed by an embarrassing 4-game set in Washington. First of all, they played in Boston. They split. They ended up winning the game Tuesday 8-3. Max Fried. I'm gonna start calling it a Maxter class instead of a master class. Because Fried has looked excellent during some of his starts this year. He threw 7 innings, only gave up 2 earned runs, and had a career high 13 Ks. And let me tell you, Joe, that curveball looked absolutely phenomenal. I would love for Max Fried to sign an extension here, but I tell you what, this guy's going to make $35 million a year next year, guaranteed, no doubt about it. The offense was actually really encouraging this game. Because they put up 6 runs against Cutter Crawford, who's had a really good start to the season. And Ozzie Albies actually had a double and a homer in this game. So the offense, I was like, okay, maybe this is where they're going to start to turn around. No, I was wrong. Wednesday, they got shut out for the first time in like 180 games, dating back to last May. That was the longest streak in MLB. They lost 9-0. They had one hit. For those of you who have ever seen Major League, and when they talk about getting one hit, you know exactly what I'm talking about. It was Spencer Swellenbach. It was his second start of the season and second start of his career. He went 4 2/3. He gave up 6 earned runs. He had 4 Ks. Something that I did notice about Swellenbach is he had a ton of 0-2 and 1-2 counts, but he just didn't have the put away pitch. But if he could get that and actually, throw something to the dirt, throw it off the zone, throw it out of the zone, I think he's actually going to have a lot of success because the command is there, which is really encouraging to see in this day and age. He's actually a pitcher, not just a thrower, which I really appreciate. But needless to say, they got shut out there, and that sucked. And then Thursday, they went to Washington and actually won the first game 5-2. Reynaldo Lopez has once again just continued to look fantastic. He threw 6 innings. He gave up 2 earned runs, which were both solo homers. He only had 1 walk, and he had 7 Ks. This guy absolutely deserves to be an all-star. He's got an ERA under 2, and he just looked like a really solid pitcher. He's been sitting like 93 to 95 when he, just regularly pitching. But then when he needs a put-away pitch, he can crank it up to 97, 98, and actually get guys out with that. And it's really fun to watch because, he doesn't have to sit, 98 to 99. He can sit 93 to 95 and have a ton of success. So shout out to Reynaldo. I have loved watching this guy so far. He's got a really slow heartbeat on the mound. He doesn't get too excited or too worked up. He just makes pitches and gets outs. So, yeah, great start for him. And also in that game, Marcell Ozuna and Adam Duvall both had a homer. And then Friday. Friday was a wasted Chris Sale start because this guy went 7 innings. He gave up 2 earned runs and had 10 Ks. I don't know what else you expect from your starter. It was a phenomenal start, and the Braves lost 2-1. It sucked. The only bright spot for the offense was Marcell Ozuna, once again, had 2 doubles. And let me just say this, Joe. If it wasn't for Marcell Ozuna on this team might only have 20 wins right now, and I'm not kidding. They would be a below 500 team, and they would be desperate right now because Marcell Ozuna has absolutely carried them. And I'm gonna go ahead and say it again. He deserved to start the All-Star game over Shohei Ohtani. I know that's not good for ratings, but he has had a better season thus far than Ohtani. Maybe not by B-WAR, but by all the other counting stats, he's had a better season. Moving on to Saturday. Saturday was not a great game either because they lost. They ended up losing 7-3, and Charlie Morton pitched. Just like we were talking about with Justin Verlander earlier, Charlie Morton is also showing his age. He gave up 5 runs. He only had 3 Ks, and he didn't have any walks, which tells everybody that he got hit, and he got hit pretty hard, which is really unfortunate. But, Father Time leaves nobody behind. It will catch up to everybody. It was 4-0 after the 4th, and basically the game was over. And then today was Hurston Waldrop's debut. And let me just tell you, I was really excited about this. The first 3 innings went great. The first 3 innings, he actually finished the first 3 innings in under 30 pitches, and he had no hits. Which I was like, man, this is gonna be great. He's gonna maybe have a quality start. And then everything kind of unraveled in the 4th inning. He had 2 outs before he gave up a 3-run homer to Keibert Ruiz, and that made it a 4-2 game. Then the bases were loaded after that. They yanked him, and Aaron Bummer came in and gave up a 3-run double to C.J. Abrams. So just like that, it was a 7-run 4th, and the game was pretty much over. The only bright spot really in the game for the offense was that Jared Kelenic had 2 hits, including a 3-run homer in the 9th. I have been saying this for a while now. Jared Kelenic needs to hit leadoff. I am sick and tired of seeing Michael Harris come up there and ground out to the second baseman to start off the game in 2 pitches. I am sick and tired of seeing Ozzie Albies come up and in 2 pitches flies out to the center fielder. Both have been terrible there. It's time to give Kelenic a shot. Jared Kelenic in the last 15 days has had an OPS of 894 and an OBP of greater than 340. I will take that all day long in the Ronald Acuna absence, okay? I need to see that guy in the leadoff spot. Braves country needs to see that guy in a leadoff spot. Just give him a shot. He has great at-bats. He takes great at-bats. His K rate is high. We know that. But as we saw, I think it was either yesterday or Friday, he had a really good at bat, took it to 3-2, and then took what should have been ball 4, but it was 6 inches off the plate. Umpire call strike 3. I know that he has been hoed on probably 5 or 6 pitches like that. His walk rate should definitely be higher. And I can tell you right now, if we had the ABS system, he would probably have 5 or 6 more walks at least. I love the quality of his at bats, and I want to see him up there hitting leadoff. I'm tired of seeing Ozzie and Harris up there. They are not, that's not the move right now. And then going back to the offense, over the last 30 days, we've seen Orlando Arcia and Adam Duvall have a sub 600 OPS. That is unacceptable. And it's even worse the last 15 days. These are 2 black holes in this lineup right now that are absolutely killing them. Now, I will say this. There are more holes that are killing them as well, but those guys are not in danger of losing their jobs. Austin Riley has not been good. Sean Murphy has not been good. Michael Harris has not been good. But these 2 in Duvall and Arcia can be replaced. I've already said it on this podcast. Orlando Arcia is a great utility player. That's where he belongs. He is not the shortstop of the future. He is a cheap option to start at shortstop who plays great defense. And if the offense is going well, his bat doesn't matter. But his bat absolutely matters right now because he is statistically like the worst hitter in the league with runners in scoring position. It is awful. I mean, it's like below like a 350 OPS. I'm not kidding. He is that bad with runners in scoring position. And then Adam Duvall hits left-handed pitching well. He is not hitting right-handed pitching at all. It's been very embarrassing for him. He was supposed to platoon with Kelnick, but once Acuna went down, obviously he's been playing every day. And to be honest with you, he doesn't look healthy out in right field. He is struggling out there as well. I would really like to see Alex Anthopoulos go out and get two new guys for those spots. I think that would be a big boost to this offense right now, especially, and possibly to the defense, depending on who he would go get. So that's kind of my Braves update and soapbox all in one. So yeah, now that I've got all that off my chest, Joe, where do you want to go from here?
Man, I mean, I don't know. Both of our teams are struggling right now, although, both of our teams are in kind of different positions, I think it's interesting, the position that the Braves are in. I believe, they're 9 games back of the Phillies right now, who have been just on a tear. I mean, I don't know. Has their schedule still been weak as, it was earlier in the season? Like, who have they played? Because
the thing about it is, Joe, is the entire National League, besides the Braves, Phillies, Milwaukee, and the Dodgers, sucks. They have 4 teams above 500. Yeah. That is.
I believe that.
Go ahead.
I believe that there are only 10 teams in all of MLB right now that are above 500, which I think is insane. I think I saw that stat earlier. The outlook of the league right now is kind of crazy. There's a lot of meddling teams that are just, there at the moment. Nobody is playing. Nobody outside of the Phillies, the Dodgers, and the Yankees are playing particularly well. It's very interesting to see, how the season has played out so far, because like I said, everybody is, other than, the Nationals, Mets, Marlins, the Rockies, everybody is still kind of in the mix overall. It's crazy.
The craziest.
The Astros being 30 and 36 are 4.5 games back of a wild card spot. They're 6 games under 500.
Well, the Mets are even worse. They're 8 games under 500, and they're only 3 games out of a wild card spot. That is absolutely embarrassing.
Yeah, that's
I'm so sick and tired of seeing crappy teams still hanging around. Basically, I say that, and the Braves absolutely suck right now. But it's whatever.
I don't know. It's just the outlook of the season so far has been kind of crazy. Right now, what is the potential postseason outlook right now? I believe it's for the NL. I believe it's let's see. I believe the Braves, Padres, the Giants, Reds, Cubs, and Cardinals are all tied for, I think, that final spot. Or
Correct. That's correct.
yeah, I mean, it's just like
All of
I
those
just
suck.
and 3 of those teams are in the Central,
Yep.
the
You
the
know,
NL Central.
Joe, I've been looking all week at different options for the Braves to go trade for. But what's so frustrating right now is that there's only 2 teams in the National League, and there are 3 teams in the American League that are actually out of the race. With that being
Mhm.
said, I don't know that anybody besides those 5 teams are actually sellers at the deadline. Now, I'm sure that there's going
Yeah.
to be some small moves made here and there, but when you look at everything
Mhm.
outside of those 5 teams, if you're the Mets right now and you're only 3 games out of a wild card spot, why are you going to sell? Unless if you want to go and get
Well,
something for Pete Alonso, which I understand, but I mean, it's just like, okay, the Nationals. The Nationals are not a bad team. They're only a game and a half out of a wild
mhm.
card spot. I mean, the Pirates. Who wouldn't want to see Skeens and Jones in a wild card series? You know?
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if any of these teams actually sell. Maybe they only trade the guys that are on expiring contracts. But I don't really see them sell. I don't see any of these teams selling really at all, especially guys with contract control. You know?
Well, I think that's a lot of what, we saw last year, with the very, slow trade deadline. There wasn't a lot of movement. And it was because teams felt like they were still in the race late, because they were 3 or 4 or 5 games out still. But it's going to be interesting to see how, with this updated postseason format, this is only year 2 of the expanded postseason, that teams handle that trade deadline. Because, in my opinion, as an Astros fan, if they're still in it, I really don't know. I don't know if they need just like a soft reset, get some guys back for Bregman. If he continues to play well, if they're 500 at the trade deadline, it's really just going to depend on how the Mariners and the Rangers continue to play, and neither of them have been, blowing the cover off the ball.
No.
Um, you know, the the Mariners have been playing a little bit better as of late. They're 6-4 in their last 10 games. The Rangers are 5-5. The Astros are 6-4, and they're only a half game, or they're 1.5 games back from the Rangers. If they're around, I mean, Dana Brown has come out and said that they're not going to sell. He doesn't see, a path that they sell at the deadline. But I think it is possible, they have a very soft schedule coming up. If they can just take care of business. I know that I said, sweeping series is necessary, but if they can just keep, winning series, I guess, they can find themselves back at 500 within, 4 or 5 series.
And you know what's
It
crazy?
all just depends on. Sorry,
What
go ahead.
what's crazy looking at all of these teams in the American wild card race? Okay, the only 3 teams that are out, like we said, are the White Sox, the Angels, and the A's. Okay, the Astros are a better team than the Rangers. They are a better team than the Rays. They are a better team than the Blue Jays. They are a better team than Detroit. They are a better team than Boston. There is absolutely no reason that they can't come back from this 4.5 game wild card deficit and snag a wild card spot. Right now, as it stands, they
Mm-hmm.
are better than all of those teams. No doubt in my mind. I have no reservation saying that. And to be honest with you,
Yeah.
I still think they're a better team than the Twins. I mean, there's no reason that they can't grab that final wild card spot.
Yeah. I mean, on paper, with the names in the lineup and the names on the team, you look at it and you say, yes, I am taking that Astros roster over any other roster besides maybe, the Dodgers or the Yankees or the Phillies at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But it just hasn't played out like that.
Nope.
They have not put it together at once. It's just like today. The offense played well. Verlander did enough to get, the win. And then the bullpen just has this astronomical meltdown. It has been so frustrating to watch. It's like one night, you get a freaking, star like performance from Ronaldo Blanco. He goes 7 innings. I'm making this up. And then you get, Ryan Presley and Josh Hader to close it out. And then the offense only has like 3 hits, and they're, one in like they score 1 run in the game. And it's a solo home run or something like that. That's the kind of, situations the Astros have put themselves in. And they lose the game like 2-1 or 3-1. They're losing close games. They're in all of these games. They have not gotten blown out a lot. Like, there have not been these games where I'm just like, okay, well, I just flat out don't think they're the, better team. They're losing games where they have the opportunities to win. They just have not capitalized on them. And you know what?
Yeah.
I like that goes with what the stats say, because they are the least clutch team in MLB. They are a negative 4.22 in clutch, which is an actual stat. And that's last. The next closest team is Boston at negative 3.6. They've been bad. They've just been bad in big situations that they've been in consistently this year. They're also just not getting any calls go their way. They are, once again, dead last in being hurt by umpires and the calls that, umpires are giving other teams or not giving the Astros. They're a negative 65 when it comes to being hurt or helped by umpires calls. And the Brewers, the next closest team, are a negative 54. So that's a pretty wide margin for both the clutch stat and the hurt or helped by umpires. You've got teams like the Guardians and the Yankees. The Guardians have been helped. They're a plus 94. Yankees are a plus 71. Those are both 2 teams that have been playing really well. And I don't think it's, a coincidence that, some teams that have played really well throughout the season so far are getting a little bit of help from umpires. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. And the Astros just haven't had any luck. And, they're still good. I still do truly believe that. They just, like I said, have not been getting that luck that they do need.
Let me share something with you, Joe. So, obviously, your team has struggled on one side of the ball or the other, just depending on what game it is. The Braves started off really hot. For those of you who don't remember, the Braves were 19-7 to start the year. They went to Seattle after that and lost 2 out of 3. And since then, they are 16-19. Now, granted, that is also in a time period where we saw the best from Reynaldo Lopez, from Max Fried, and also Chris Sale. Thank God we have those 3 guys, because if we weren't, instead of 16-19, we might be like 8-25. I'm not kidding. They have been that bad on the offense. The pitching staff has absolutely held it together for them. I mean, literally between Lopez, Sale, and Max Fried, all 3 of those guys would get Cy Young consideration right now, with the exception of guys like Zach Wheeler and Ranger Suarez. Guys like that. They're also extremely talented. I'm not going to take that away from them. But the Braves have 3 guys that are going to get Cy Young votes. And even their 4th starter, being Charlie Morton, has an ERA of 4.12. That's not terrible for a 4th starter. But I will say this, on days that they have had that 5th starter roll around, whoever that may be, whether it was Alan Winans or Darius Fines or Bryce Elder at the beginning of the year, and now it's either Spencer Swellenbach or it's Hurston Waldrop, during those games, they have been terrible. There was a stat the other day, they've only won maybe like a handful, literally a handful, of those 5th starter spots. So if there's any moves that the Braves will make at the deadline, I can guarantee you this: they will go get an outfielder and they will go get a mid-rotation starter, just to fill that 5th starter spot, maybe even the 4th starter spot, depending on how Morton continues to do. Because like I said earlier, his age is showing. But just like you were talking about earlier, I don't know how many of these teams are actually going to want to deal, especially if they've got contractual control. I was looking at some names earlier for the Braves to trade for. I don't know if any of these guys get moved, especially where their teams are sitting. There's two guys that I have on my list of 5 that might get moved, and that's Paul DeYoung and Brent Rooker. I don't really care if the Braves go get either one of those. A lot of people in Braves country today were looking at Paul DeYoung. I will say this: he's got a really good OPS against right-handed pitching, which is exactly what the Braves need because they have sucked against right-handed pitching. He's also got 10 homers against righties this year, but his defense is terrible. Arcia plays Gold Glove defense. I don't want to replace Arcia with somebody that's going to hit better, but then also suck as a shortstop. We don't need that either. The move that I was kind of looking at for them to make, and I don't even know if it's going to be possible because I don't know if they have the trade chips, is going to the Rockies and going to get Ezequiel Tovar. He's got an 812 OPS overall, 121 OPS plus overall. And actually, the Rockies' effect has not affected him. He's got a pretty similar OPS on the road and at home. He's not a free agent until 2029. He's 22 years old. He's going to continue to grow and get better. And he runs well too. Arcia doesn't run well. He plays good defense. That right there would be an automatic upgrade over Arcia, and that would move him rightfully to where he belongs, which is on the bench as a utility player. But will the Rockies deal him? I don't know. I'm not saying he's the face of the franchise because that should be Chris Bryant, who he absolutely, hoed the Rockies on with his contract. But Tovar would be an instant upgrade. The Nationals, like we just said, are only 3 games out of a wild card spot, and they've got a guy in Jesse Winker that could come play left field for the Braves every day. He's got a 388 OBP against right-handed pitching. That's what the Braves need. They need guys that'll get on base right now. And he's on an expiring contract that's not going to cost them anything or send them into the third luxury tax threshold. And then, the Padres. The Padres are only a game below 500, and they're in the second wild card spot. They're not going to deal Ha-Seong Kim if they're in a wild card spot. And that was another guy I was looking at. He's third in walks among shortstops with a 328 OBP. He plays great defense. He runs well. I mean, he's a guy you could really trust over there to play the position well, to steal some bags, and to get on base. But like I said, I don't know if either one of those guys, in Winker or Kim, if they even get dealt. So who knows? This trade deadline could be exceptionally slow, especially with this new playoff format.
Mm-hmm. I do just want to say I didn't touch on this earlier, but there is a lot of Astros injury news that I did not get into. Both Christian Javier and Jose Urquidy will be out for the remainder of the season. They both had Tommy John surgery performed on them this week and are expected to, like I said, miss the remainder of this season and have the possibility, of coming back sometime in the late 2025 season, from what we've heard so far from Dana Brown. There's also some injury news as well. Kyle Tucker, as we all know, went down with a shin injury after taking a foul ball off the shin earlier this week against the Cardinals. He hit the 10-day IL, and luckily the x-rays were negative, so he did not break anything, but I believe that the last updates that I've been getting, or that have been provided, were that he's still, hopefully coming back as soon as his 10-day stint comes up. But I believe that, from Brian McTaggart and Chandler Rome, from their tweets, that he's still walking on crutches, or a crutch, I believe is the last update that we got. So that should be interesting to see, how he progresses, if they feel like he might need a game or two down in Corpus or Sugar Land just to, test out that leg, or if, simulated games, back at home can do the trick. And then Luis Garcia has also been making a lot of progress. He is going down to Florida to start playing in some of those Florida Complex League games, and trying to build up to go make a rehab start. Which is good because the Astros really need some reinforcements in the starting rotation. Lance McCullers is, I believe, 2 or 3 weeks behind him. So hopefully he can stay on schedule because, for as much crap as I give him, when he is pitching, he is good. It's just, when he's, not pitching injured is, I guess more like it, because he just keeps pitching injured. That's all I can really say. He needs to, if he's hurt or if he's feeling something, he just needs to take himself out of a position of making things worse. That's my opinion on him. And then Alex Bregman, they need to like someone needs to like give him a sponsorship for like a new wrist guard or something, because he's been hit on the left wrist twice this week, exiting both games that he's been hit. And so we'll see how that continues to progress. He got taken out of today's game, and this was, like I said, the second time he got hit in the left wrist this week. Hopefully, it's nothing too serious. Hopefully it was just a spot up, realizing that this is the second time he'd been hit, and he probably just needs to let it cool off, let it swell up, run its course, and then hopefully he can be back in the lineup either tomorrow or Tuesday, because the Astros need to keep the pedal to the metal, because he's been hot, and it would suck to see him cool off because of this. And so yeah, that's just Astros injury updates for right now.
Well, Joe, I will say this. I hope that when Tucker comes back, I hope that he continues on the hot streak that he's been on, because the Astros desperately need that. I hope that doesn't send him into some kind of a funk. I know missing a week, 10 days, whatever it is, that can really screw with their timing. So I hope for the Astros' sake that he's able to come back and just pick up where he left off.
Yep.
Do we have anything else from around the league, Joe? There's 4 really good teams, and besides that, all the rest of the league sucks.
Yeah, the Phillies and the Mets, they played in the London series this week. That was electric. Those crowds are always good. There always seems to be crazy offense in those games. That's just classic MLB with, ball manipulation, like we're probably seeing again this year. And, the Dodgers and the Yankees played a really big series. The Dodgers took 2 of 3 from the Yankees, losing tonight, however, it's just, it's been tough. I mean, it really is. There's 14 teams with a positive run differential, and, that's just, I mean, when over half the league doesn't have a positive run differential, that really just, it's interesting. It's just interesting to look at how these teams have put themselves in a position to still be in the race, when they haven't exactly, put up really good offensive numbers. And some of these teams that have negative run differential just also don't pitch well. So it's just very interesting to see how the rest of the season will play out. When that trade deadline comes, how teams manage their staff from there.
I'm really interested too, because the league offense is down I think 5 to 10% from last year, and the league is always wanting to put out a product of entertainment that is entertaining to fans. I'm gonna tell you right now, 80% of fans, maybe more, don't like a pitcher's rule. So if they are messing with baseballs, they are messing with their product in a negative way. And in my opinion, if you want to draw new people in, you got to have baseballs flying and moving. And I'm gonna share this stat with you. I gotta find it real quick. It's from CJ Nikowski. I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I think I sent you this the other day about the distance. Did I send you that?
Yes, I believe that you said the ball was traveling like 3 less feet or something like that.
Okay, so all right. So this is what Nikowski put. Shout out to CJ. I actually really enjoy his commentary during games. I wish he would follow the pod. Anyways, this is what he said. The Braves barrels. Okay, a barrel is a ball that is actually hit exceptionally well, and how it should be. That is with an exit velocity of over 98 miles an hour, with a launch angle between 26 and 30 degrees. From last year to this year, they are on average traveling 15 feet less. The entire league has only lost 6 feet. The Braves have actually lost 15 feet. Last year, on those barrels, their average distance was 410 feet, almost 411. For those of you who don't know, that's a home run distance in pretty much every area of the ballpark, except maybe center field and like some of those deep courts in left center and right center. This year, they are only traveling 394.8 feet. If you have watched any Braves baseball game this year, you've seen probably, and I'm not exaggerating this, 30 to 40 balls die at the warning track that guys thought were gone. That includes like Marcell Ozuna. The Big Bear knows when he gets one. When he is smiling, that ball is gone. And when that ball is caught at the warning track, something is off. So that just tells you right there. Like the whole deal with Aroldis Chapman the other night against the
Yep, I was
Dodgers.
going to mention that.
That ball was gone, 100%, and it died at the warning track. Once again, if the ball is traveling 15 feet less, or what should have been 15 feet more, that ball is gone. I think the Braves have probably had like at least 30 to 40 balls that have died on the warning track that should have been home runs. And in that case, we wouldn't even be talking about the offense because their home run numbers would probably be very similar to last year. So it's extremely frustrating, for sure.
Yeah, it definitely is. A lot of these players, they've played all their life. They've hit many home runs. They know when they barrel a ball, and pitchers know when they've given up a home run. And like you mentioned, Aroldis Chapman, he knew that ball should have been gone. You don't react like that on the mound, thinking that that ball has a possibility of being caught. You only react like that when you know that a hitter got a hold of one, and that should have been like a no-doubter. So, like you mentioned, there have been a lot of balls that I have seen put in, play, driven out to the outfield from, guys like Jordan or Yainer, who have just not gotten, that extra distance because of, they hit these towering fly balls, but they just die. So, yeah, it's been interesting. I don't know what MLB is doing. They've been caught before, in studies, manipulating, different baseballs, giving them to different teams. But, if they're going to do that, I just wish it would be consistent. That's the only thing. Because if they're doing it for certain, special events, then you're giving, two teams very, distinct advantage from, the other 28 teams, So just if they're gonna manipulate the balls to make offense go crazy, just admit it. Honestly, just admit it.
And it irritates me too. If I am an owner or a GM, and like take 2019 for instance with the juice ball. If I was an owner or a GM and I wanted to sign somebody after the 2019 season, and I saw that X player hit 30 home runs for a career high, and I'm like, oh, well, this guy has 30 home run potential. Well, guess what? The next 4 or 5 years, that guy only hits 16 or 18, and then all of a sudden, that contract looks terrible. So if I'm an owner or a GM, I'm probably pretty pissed about that. So
Alex Bergman.
that's a prime example. Look at the Twins. Most of the guys that were on the Twins that year, they broke the home run record in 307. There's no reason they should be 7 home runs.
Alex Bergman had 40 home runs that year. I don't think he's sniffed 30 since.
No, he hasn't. He hasn't. Not at all. Not even been close.
A couple of seasons he dealt with some, pretty serious injuries that would hamper one's power, but I mean, he's not that kind of player. He had 40 home runs in 2019. Like, it's just crazy. And the fact that there's been such a drastic change from 2019 to really like 2021 to like now it's astonishing how MLB just keeps getting away with this, and no one really important keeps bringing it up. I mean, there are a lot of people that bring it up, but they're, conspiracy theorists, like you mentioned, and it's not taken seriously. That's something that's a scam, I might say, that, has pretty big implication in the grand scheme of things that affect outcomes of games. And, no one talks about that, but, they continue to talk about something that happened like 7 years ago. Give me a break.
I mean, the thing is like it was proven that in 2020 that they were giving juice balls to the Yankees so Judge could hit 60 or more, and then also to the Cardinals so Pujols could hit number 700. So I mean, who's to say that it's not still happening, or that they just decided to deaden them? Which we've already discussed. There's no reason for them to deaden them, because that makes the product worse. Because people want to see offense, they want to see excitement, they want to see the ball moving. You know, they don't want to see people striking out or grounding out to the shortstop. So it's frustrating, man. I'm so tired of league wide offense being down. You know, I want to see it back up. I want to see balls leaving the ballpark. Especially for our teams. But so far, it just hasn't been that way. But anyway, we now that we've talked and we've gone on our soapboxes respectively, each one of us. Joe, do you have any final thoughts for the night?
Oh, I'm ready to wrap this up.
I tell you what, I have one final thought, and it's actually a positive. This week, I actually got in our patches. If you follow our Instagram, you have seen them on there. Or if you follow me or Joe's Instagram, I think we both put them on there. So I am very excited about those. I bought 2 of them. I think I'm going to put one of mine on a navy hat and one of them on a khaki hat, and just see how they look. And I'm going to get Joe his patch hopefully sometime this week. So we can actually be rocking those during the show. If you would like one, comment on our YouTube, comment, on our Instagram post or anything like that. And once again, guys, thank you for listening. We are the Throwing Partners Podcast here on YouTube. If you like the show, hit that thumbs up button for us. We would really appreciate it. And make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Thanks again, everybody. It's Kirby and Joe here. And you can follow us on our socials at KirbyD4 and at JAguilar7891. Have a wonderful week, guys.